Although there are plenty of enemy types that players will get sick of fighting after the first couple of bouts, there are likewise some enemies that are so rare, it's likely players don't realize they exist. Whether these scarcely seen foes are tied to extremely low spawn rates, require specific actions to be completed to trigger them, or are simply incredibly well hidden, it's possible to beat certain titles and hit credits without ever spying one of the following. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 rare video game enemies that you haven't seen. Number 10. The Shrouded Ghost, Sea of Thieves, 2018. There are more than just other nefarious pirates to worry about while hunting for treasure within Sea of Thieves. Rare's celebrated pirate game is full of emergent encounters, including skeletons, sharks, ghost ships, and even the mighty Kraken to make the world feel alive and dangerous. Another encounter that players can face while sailing the seas is the ferocious Megalodon. Although meeting these toothy terrors isn't an uncommon occurrence, there are 5 different varieties to fight, each rarer than the last. Adventurers are more likely to be attacked by the blue hungering one or the purple crested queen, but the one that pirates are unlikely to ever meet is the Shrouded Ghost. A ghostly white behemoth, this sea monster can appear anywhere in the seas at any time, like the others, but with an estimated spawn rate of 0.01%. It's possible to sail for hundreds of hours without ever catching a glimpse. The spawn rate is so low that the Shrouded Ghost has earned a mythical status within the game's community. Anyone displaying the title for killing this beast is a pirate with a legendary story to tell. Number 9. Labyrinth Mole, Bloodborne, 2015. The Lovecraftian world of Bloodborne, much like the rest of From Software's Soulsborne outings, is packed with a vast selection of nightmarish enemies who are more than capable of making quick work of any unprepared player. Alongside facing these fiendish creatures during the main game, players can likewise test their might against them within the Chalice dungeons. Optional and procedurally generated arenas accessed through the game's main hub, these subterranean labyrinths are home to dangerous traps, hordes of enemies, and rare rewards for those able to make it through in one piece. The dungeons are also home to some unique enemies that can't be found in the main game, and because they're randomized each time, many dungeon-only enemies are easy to miss. The rarest is the Labyrinth Mole. A creature with grotesque tendrils shrouding its face, its freakish design makes it one of Bloodborne's most disturbing enemies. Given that it took 2 whole years after the game's launch for this enemy to even be discovered, the chances of anyone stumbling upon it are incredibly slim. Considering how horrifying it is, that might be for the best. Number 8. Kilbin, Final Fantasy VII, 1997. Final Fantasy has always populated its magical worlds with rare and strange creatures. Whether the dreaded Marlborough plant, whose infrequent appearances spell doom thanks to an iconically deadly bad breath attack, or the elusive Simurgh from Final Fantasy X, the odds of running into these enemies are incredibly low. However, none of the enemies are as hard to spot as Kilbin from the original Final Fantasy VII. Shaped like a large dice, these enemies are some of the strangest foes that can be encountered. Possessing a variety of attack types determined by each of its faces, fighting Kilbins can make for unpredictable battles. That's provided you can find one to fight. Only found within the Whirlwind Maze area, this enemy has only a 5 out of 32 chance of spawning. That's 15.6%. In addition to the overall low spawn rate of the area, coupled with just how small this part of the game is, it's possible to spend hours walking through the level without seeing a single Kilbin. Number 7. Possessed Vending Machines, Control, 2019. Containing an interdimensional pyramid, psychic powers, and an endearing janitor named Artie, Control is one of Remedy's weirdest and most enthralling outings. Set in the labyrinthian departments of the Federal Bureau of Control, protagonist Jesse Faden comes up against an assortment of bizarre enemies, ranging from an otherworldly being known as the Hiss to a collection of psychically altered objects like a fridge or an anchor. As brilliantly bonkers as these enemies are, they aren't hard to miss while working your way through side quests. The opposite is the case when it comes to one sneaky enemy that was added with the AWE expansion though. These unlikely enemies are possessed vending machines, and they look exactly like any other of the dozens of identical confectionery dispensers littered throughout the environment. The only way to tell if one is possessed is to hit it, at which point it'll spring to life. If it weren't for an achievement and an in-game document talking about them, players may not even realize they exist. Moreover, with the machines spawning randomly alongside reports of a rare bug that can stop them spawning at all, finding one can be impossible. Number 6. SASQUATCH, Grand Theft Auto V, 2013. From collecting pieces of an alien spaceship to stumbling upon a ghostly sighting in the mountains, there's a lot of weird and unexpected surprises for players to discover in the sprawling world of GTA 5's Los Santos and neighboring Blaine County. One of these lesser-seen curiosities is a SASQUATCH. Ever since rumors spread in the mid-2000s that the mythical monster existed within the forests of San Andreas, fans have been hoping to catch a glimpse of Bigfoot for themselves. The creature did make an appearance in Red Dead Redemption's Undead Nightmare DLC, but now fans could finally find the creature in GTA. However, before players can hunt this enemy, they're required to complete 100% of the game, which is no small feat for a Rockstar open world title. After finishing everything else, you'll unlock the mission The Last One, which sees Franklin recruited by a hunter to catch the creature. After a lengthy chase and a lot of gunfire, the monster will finally collapse. In a quintessentially GTA twist, however, it's revealed the monster is just a man with an elaborate costume who takes roleplay really seriously. Number 5. POSEIDUS, World of Warcraft 2004. Launching all the way back in 2004, World of Warcraft remains one of the most popular MMOs ever made. Thanks to the release of numerous expansions over the years, Blizzard's beloved game has only continued to grow. With a game this size, there's a lengthy list of rare discoveries to seek out, and one of the rarest that players have dedicated dozens of hours looking for is POSEIDUS. A purplish blue seahorse, this majestic animal can only be found at a handful of specific spawn points that are located throughout the Shimmering Expanse and Abyssal Depths. What makes this beast especially difficult to find, though, is its colossal spawn timer, which is estimated to be between 2 to 8 hours. Players can therefore spend entire sessions hunting for this creature without it ever being present in the server. And thanks to a bug that can stop the corpse despawning after another player kills them, it could potentially take days for POSEIDUS to reappear. Killing POSEIDUS is worth the effort though. Upon defeating, it's guaranteed to drop the Reins of POSEIDUS, which summons the elite subdued seahorse mount for underwater travel. Number 4. The Saint-Denis Vampire, Red Dead Redemption 2, 2018. In Rockstar's epic masterpiece Red Dead Redemption 2, there's so much to do and discover within the vast wilderness of its portrayal of the Old West. From encountering colourful characters while exploring, stumbling upon a literal ghost train, and delivering a hideous experiment tucked away in a house near the Van Horn trading post, there's dozens of secrets that players can easily miss while playing the game. One of the trickier things to stumble upon, though, is an actual vampire located in Saint-Denis. With no icon marking the start of this quest, the only way to hunt down this one-of-a-kind enemy is by finding 5 pieces of text scrawled on walls across the city. Having done that, players must then follow a map to a concealed alleyway, arrive there at night, and they'll discover a sinister-looking figure feeding upon a corpse. The Nosferatu will start walking towards Arthur when discovered, and if he's not gunned down before he reaches the grizzled protagonist, the monster will kill Arthur in a single hit. Not only is this one of the game's spookiest encounters, but slaying this vampire will also net players a unique dagger for their efforts. Number 3. Evil Vagrant, Dark Souls, 2011. During their time in Dark Souls, players will come across an array of enemies that are as unpleasant as they are difficult. With each area of the game housing its own distinctive flavor of foes, there's no shortage of terrors to be killed by. Even in a game with secret areas and bosses that can easily be missed, it's possible to complete this notoriously hard title several times without seeing a specific enemy, vagrants. Also known as drift items, these creatures are unlike anything else in the game and are easily identified by their egg-shaped body, crab-like claw, and glowing tendrils. Meeting one, though, is entirely dependent on other players, meaning that the game must be connected to the internet for one to appear. This enemy appears when another player dies with 5 humanity or more and fails to retrieve their souls after death. Their dropped resources are sent to another player's world in the form of a vagrant. Even rarer than the regular black vagrants are the much tougher red phantom versions, which only spawn after passing through 20 other players' worlds. Although they don't pose much of a challenge, vagrants are nevertheless extremely rare to come across. Number 2. Red Iridium Bats, Stardew Valley, 2016. In the gorgeous Stardew Valley, players can lose dozens of hours tending to their crops, befriending the locals, and discovering the myriad of secrets that Pelican Town has to offer. Another part of the game that players can devote themselves to is exploring treacherous dungeons to mine precious ore and battle swarms of monsters. In addition to the mines located in town, players are also able to explore the far harder Skull Cavern after acquiring its key deep within the mines. It's within the endless depths of this area where intrepid explorers can face red iridium bats. Far faster and with twice the health as their peers, this enemy is a serious threat. The hardest thing about encountering the enemy though is getting to it. Found on non-prehistoric floors on levels 880 and below, it requires complete dedication and skill to descend this far. With no elevator to quickly travel to previously reached floors, players must start every descent into the caverns from the start. Even harder is getting there within the strict time limit that sees the player pass out every day at 2 AM. Reaching these depths is a near impossible task that requires just as much skill as it does preparation to achieve. Number 1. Scorched Mothman, Fallout 76, 2018. Alongside the raiders, robots, and irradiated wildlife that populate Fallout 76's post-apocalyptic Virginia, Bethesda's MMORPG is likewise home to a selection of random encounters and super rare enemy types that many players have never seen. Some of the scarcest come in the form of cryptids, legendary monsters found within Fallout's universe and real-world folklore. Vault dwellers can spend their time hunting for the elusive likes of a Wendigo, SHROUDED, and the Flatwoods Monster, with each spawning in particular locations and sometimes requiring specific actions for them to trigger. Stumbling across any of these is a remarkable achievement. The most uncommon cryptid to encounter, however, is Mothman. A famed monster from Virginian urban legend, this elusive creature has the lowest spawn rate of all the cryptids. Moreover, unlike other legendary enemies, there's no specific spot on the map where players can find them, meaning the encountering is down to sheer luck. Moreover, a rarer variant exists in the form of the Scorched Mothman. If waiting potentially hundreds of hours for an ultra-rare cryptid to spawn in the wild is too taxing, curious players can find one in the bowels of the Enclave Research Facility, beneath Transmission Station 1AT U03. Finding that original Mothman, though, is on you. That's the end of our list, but let me know down in that comment section if you can think of any other rare video game enemies you've seen that you reckon most people haven't. As always, I've been Jess from WhatCulture. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you like, you can come say hi to me on my X account where I'm at Jess McDonald, but make sure you stay tuned to us here for plenty more gaming goodness.